All right, guys, welcome back to The Barren Grounds by David A. Robertson. We are on chapter 15. This is video 2. So the kids are about to go talk to the council with Ochek regarding them going with Eric on a mission to find the human and the summer birds, okay, to try to help save the village of Mizwa. As they're walking to the council, all the other beings, or some of the other beings that live in the village, are there looking at the children. So there's moose, there's caribou, there's what else? Foxes, a beaver, a bison, a muskrat. Lots of different types of wildlife and creatures living there in Mizwa. So we're on page 137. And top paragraph just at the very end. And finally, a caribou threw a snowball at the kids, which hit Morgan and yelled at them to leave. Awaz! Keep walking, Ochek said. What's their problem with us? Morgan wiped the snow away from her clothing. We're not like that other human, Eli said. I know that, children, Ochek said. Yeah, Ochek might know that, but these other creatures don't. They don't know that. To them, a human came and brought terrible times to their village. Okay? We're not like that other human, Eli said. I know that, children, Ochek said. At least they're not licking their lips at the sight of me, Eric said. That's a bonus. Council was waiting for them. There was a fire pit in the middle of the hut, burning hot and bright. This was surrounded by large and smooth white stones. Beside the fire pit was a small collection of medicines and dried, ancient-looking berries. Morgan thought that these were probably very precious, as nothing more would grow until the green time returned. The fire illuminated drawings all over the interior walls of the hut. At the head of the hut, in a northerly direction, was Council. Council was made up of 3 beings: an owl, a bear, and a turtle. The bear, whom Ochek had called Muskwa, sat between the others. Though old, with gray speckled within its dark brown fur, it towered over the 2 council members and the guests. It had forest green pants that covered short, thick legs and a black tattered vest. What was most pronounced about the bear was a large scar across its chest. The pink skin glowed with the fire's generous light. To Muskwa's right was the owl, and unlike the other beings in the village, the owl looked mostly unchanged from any other owl Morgan had seen. That is, other than it wearing a cowl and holding a rickety walking stick in its feather-like fingers. Finally, to Muskwa's left was the turtle. It wore a cardigan made of dead grass over its shoulders, and its underbelly was painted in ochre with characters Morgan was sure meant something important. The turtle looked old and frail underneath its clothing, but its eyes were powerful. Apai, Muskwa said with a thick and resonant voice. Eric, Ochek, and Eli sat down. Morgan sat there feeling awkward until she figured out what Apai meant and sat down as well. Muskwa, Ochek said, before we start, can I ask that we speak in the other words? This human, he pointed at Morgan, doesn't speak. Well, she does speak, but she only speaks English. She doesn't speak properly in Mizwa. She doesn't speak Cree. This human, he pointed at Morgan, doesn't speak. But the other does, said the turtle, who sounded female. Yes, Miss Skinak, Ochek said, the small one does. Let me just check the pronunciation of that word for turtle. Miss Kinak. Yep, Miss Kinak. Yes, Miss Kinak. The small one does. Musqua looked reluctant, but let out a heavy breath, which the foster siblings felt from across the fire through the warmth of the fire itself. Very well. The start of the meeting was familiar to Morgan. She remembered it from Orange Shirt Day at school. The Great Bear took out a smudge bowl and pinched some sage from the medicines beside the fire. He lit the sage with a twig at the edge of the fire, and a small flame erupted from the medicine. When the fire went out, smoke danced from the bowl towards the ceiling. He held it to his left, and Miskinak, the turtle, fanned the smoke over her body, directing it over her eyes, mouth, heart, and torso. The smudging continued this way in a clockwise fashion, one being, animal or human, holding the bowl for the next, until the owl held the bowl for Musqua, and he welcomed the smoke over his enormous body. The bowl was then placed in front of the bear and left there. Throughout their time within the hut, the smoke slowly died off. "Oh-ho," Musqua said to the owl after the smudging had ended. "Would you lead us in prayer?" "Hey, Musqua," the owl said, closing its eyes. Morgan thought the owl sounded neither female nor male. Okay. So she thinks that the bear sounds male. She thinks that the turtle sounds female, but she's saying the owl doesn't sound either male or female. Okay? "Creator," Oho said, "we ask that you be with us here and help us to speak with each other in a good way. Grant us wisdom and a direction that will help the Pisiskoak who live in this place. Ekosane." Let me check my pronunciations. Okay. Okay. Pisiskoak. Yep, Pisiskoak means animals. Grant us wisdom and a direction that will help the Pisiskoak, the animals, who live in this place. Ekosanai. 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 Thank you. Okay. So she says, "Creator, help us make sure we talk properly, that we communicate well, and that we can help each other out." Ekosanai. Each being in the hut repeated, even Morgan. Oho was the last to open their eyes. When they did, they were piercing and directed squarely at the children. "Who are you?" Okay, this is interesting. Take a look at this. When they talk about Musqua, they might say he. When they talk about the turtle, they may refer to her as she. But the owl has no gender. So owl, Oho, is referred to as they. They. Okay? Who are you? The foster siblings introduced themselves, while Oho nodded slowly. "Why did you bring them to Mizawa?" Miss Kinak asked Ochek. "I didn't bring them here," Ochek said. "They came through the great tree on their own." "And they walked through the barren grounds on their own?" Miss Kinak asked. "Okay, well," Ochek squirmed. "Technically, I brought them here, but Musqua, they would have died otherwise." "Who do you wish to protect?" Oho asked. "This village or these humans?" "Do you really have to ask that with everything we've been through, Oho?" Ochek asked. "Years ago," Miss Kinak said, Napu, let's check. Napeu, man, Napeu. Years ago, Miss Kinak said, Napeu came through the great tree after others had come to this place. He followed them through, didn't he? Okay, so there were others that came before Napeu, the man who was brought terrible things along winter. Okay? However, they believe that he followed them, right? He followed them through, didn't he? Oh, The point is, Ochek started, looking ready to get up. Muskwa, the point is, you've endangered this village, Muskwa said with a towering voice, and the room was brought to silence. Others may follow these little ones, and you know very well that's true. Lives have been lost through sickness and hunger, and the good life, the bear's voice cracked, and he paused. We only have these walls to remind us of it. Man takes, Miskinak said. It is all he knows to do. Well, I'm not a man, in case you haven't noticed. Morgan stood, and she took a step towards the fire. I'm a girl. Morgan, Eli hissed under his breath. Ochek said not to talk unless... I don't need to just sit here and let them decide what kind of people we are. But we do have to let them decide what we should do, he whispered. Why do you always do this? Do what? Stick up for myself? Esquesis, you must... Enough, Muskwa said, interrupting Ochek. The fire seemed to shout, its crackling and snapping in the silence that followed. Even the wind was hushed. The girl is right, Muskwa said. The actions of one don't predict the actions of another. And we need to be able to forgive what's been done in the past either way. I should know that more than most. He paused thoughtfully. Why are you here, little humans? To help, Muskwa, Eli said, following the don't speak unless spoken to rule, in any way that we can. Morgan, who'd been breathing deeply to calm herself, said, Eli's right. We were going to go, but now I feel like we have to stay. Maybe, Eli said, we can help give back what was taken from you. Maybe you can, Muskwa said. I know them to be good people. Ochek looked to the children, then to Eric. They stopped me from killing this one, and now we might really have a chance to release the summer birds. And bring back the green time, Miskinek said. What about you? Oho looked straight at Eric. Are we supposed to trust you as well? Eric, who had been silent the entire time, cleared her throat. I did tell Ochek here that he could kill me at any time if he found me to be untruthful. Bring me back. Serve me for supper. I'd last at least a week. I'm sure that I'm very yummy. She nodded proudly at Ochek. He's a very good trapper, Keeps me fed out there on the land. His traps, that is. I guess it's odd I'm asking you to trust me when I've been stealing your food, but in the balance of thieves, the man is way worse than me. And I think what she's trying to say, Muskwa, Ochek shot Eric a steely glare, is that she's putting her life on the line for this. I suppose we all are, in a sense, aren't we? Muskwa asked. By letting you leave, Ochek, we are letting go of our provider. Who says we'll survive the time he's gone? Oho asked. Who says we'll survive much longer whether he leaves or not? Miskinak asked. Muskwa stood up, and Council did the same. He walked around the fire on his own. You've always done what's right for Mizwa, he said to Ochek, who bowed his head in response. We've been waiting for death to find us. Perhaps it's time we found life. All right. Sounds like they have permission to go on their adventure to find the human and the summer birds. All right, guys, chapter 16 is next. Take care.